Sometimes we find ourselves worrying a lot about what will happen in the future, even though we can't control it. We might think that if we keep thinking about it or praying, we can somehow make things turn out the way we want. But the truth is, no matter how hard we try, the future is uncertain and doesn't always go the way we expect. Long ago, the Stoics had a different way of looking at things. They believed that instead of worrying about what we can't control, we should focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and choices. By doing that, we can find peace within ourselves and not let worries and fears take over our lives. It's not always easy to stop worrying, but even making a small effort to worry less can make a big difference. The Stoics remind us that we don't have to be slaves to worry in a world where so much is uncertain. By accepting that we can't control everything, we can find strength in focusing on what we can control and living each moment with a sense of calm and clarity. Epictetus, for instance, suggested that we should exclusively direct our attention to things within our power and dismiss those that lie beyond our control. Even issues we might consider significant enough to occupy our thoughts are not worth the mental energy spent worrying about them. If we focus on our own actions, thoughts, opinions, and pursuits, the external matters that are outside of our concern will no longer trouble us. It sounds simple and logical, but many would agree that achieving this state of an unperturbed mind, as envisioned by the Stoics, is challenging and perhaps even seemingly impossible. In this video, we will discuss how the wisdom of Stoicism can help us deal with worry and anxiety. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any upload of ours. How to be prudent. Sometimes we find ourselves worrying excessively, almost as if we're indulging in it. We create stories in our minds about the future, imagining all sorts of negative outcomes. It's like choosing to entertain ourselves with our favorite TV show or video game, constantly feeding these fantasies to occupy our thoughts. However, according to Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, this way of living is not beneficial. He argued that our minds often create false shapes of evil even when there are no signs indicating any actual harm. According to Epictetus, we should focus our attention solely on what we have control over and avoid expending our energy on things that are beyond our influence. Even matters that we may consider significant lose their hold on our worries if we cannot change them. Instead, if we direct our focus towards our own actions, thoughts, opinions, and goals, we can cultivate a state of mind where external circumstances do not disturb us. They come and go, much like rain showers or the ebb and flow of waves, while our inner peace remains intact. Although this may sound like a simple concept, many people find it challenging to put into practice. Nonetheless, even taking small steps towards worrying less is considered a positive and significant advancement. Not being a beggar. Imagine a life where you don't have to rely on others like a beggar, constantly seeking assistance and depending on their generosity to meet your needs. Instead, consider yourself as a self-sufficient individual, capable of taking charge and steering the course of your own life. While it's true that we can't control every single thing that happens to us, we do have the power to choose how we respond to the circumstances that come our way. According to the ancient Stoics, God holds complete authority over our lives. No matter how much we think or worry, we cannot change His decisions. Although we cannot defy His rule, we have the ability to determine how we respond to the circumstances He presents to us, regardless of how difficult they may be. The actions of God are beyond our control and at times unpredictable, similar to the ever-changing weather in the Netherlands. If we desire something that is in God's hands, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. Likewise, if we oppose something that God commands, we will face challenges. When we worry about what will or will not happen, we are allowing our happiness to be contingent upon the whims of fate. The more we desire something, the more likely we are to worry about it. However, no amount of worry or prayer can alter the final outcome determined by destiny. Instead of fixating on what is beyond our control, it would be wiser to focus on what is within our power. We can choose not to succumb to fear, desire, or grief. If the gods possess the ability to do anything, surely they can grant us that. These are the aspects that God has entrusted to our own discretion. The courage to be a scout. There were 2 scouts sent to Rome, and their experiences and perceptions of the city differed greatly. The first scout returned in a state of fear, describing Rome as an extremely dangerous place. He talked about death, exile, and poverty, creating a dreadful image of the situation. However, the second scout, named Diogenes, had a different perspective. He acknowledged the presence of death, exile, and poverty, but he didn't react with panic like the first scout. Instead, he surprised everyone by saying that death is not dishonorable and that sleeping on the ground can be comfortable. He claimed that there was no enemy nearby and everything was peaceful. When people questioned Diogenes about how he could assert that there was no imminent threat, he responded that it is not the circumstances themselves that cause us harm, but rather our perception and judgment of them. Both scouts experienced the same situation, but the first scout saw it as terrible, while Diogenes viewed it as peaceful. When we perceive things as terrible, it is natural for us to worry about their potential consequences. According to the teachings of Stoic philosophy, Diogenes had a more accurate understanding of the situation. There was no imminent enemy attack, and the so-called terrible things, although challenging, did not hinder his virtuousness or his ability to lead a happy life. Take death, for example. It's something that goes against our physical well-being because it means the end of our lives. However, while we're still alive, it doesn't have to make us unhappy. Death is a natural part of life, and it will happen when it's time. The important thing is to see things clearly and decide if they're truly worth worrying about or not. Being content with fate. Our state of mind is often influenced by the expectations we hold for the future. We may fear that our desired outcomes will not be fulfilled, causing us to worry. For instance, the concern of losing our jobs stems from the desire to maintain employment, while the longing for fame may lead to worries about not achieving it. In both cases, our happiness becomes contingent upon external circumstances which are beyond our control. As humans, we often tie our mental well-being to external factors. We spend our days searching for happiness outside of ourselves and avoiding situations that could bring us pain. However, this approach leads to endless suffering because the external world is unpredictable. Epictetus emphasized that our desires and contentment are within our control. We can choose not to be disappointed by aligning our desires with what is actually in our power. By exercising control over our own choices and actions, we become the masters of our own lives. True freedom lies in not relying on others or external circumstances for our happiness. According to the Stoics, if we can find contentment that is independent of external circumstances, we are truly free. Nothing that happens can disturb us because we have embraced whatever the future provides us. When we let go of worrying and accept what comes our way, there is little left to worry about. We can live with peace of mind and focus on what we can control in the present moment. The Stoic philosophy encourages us to let go of excessive worries and understand that the outcome of events is not entirely up to us. Stoics remind us that many things in life are beyond our power to change or control, and worrying about them only leads to unnecessary distress. Instead of getting caught up in external circumstances, the Stoics advise us to focus on what we can actually influence, like our own thoughts, attitudes, and actions. By cultivating inner strength and accepting the unpredictable nature of the world, we can find a sense of inner peace and contentment. Now just think for a moment that if you cannot control every single thing that happens in life, how can you be sure that you are making the right choices? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications to stay up to date on our latest videos. Thanks for watching.